75 used the same exact path, also within miles of each other. This brings to mind Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was a mission developed by Joint Chiefs of Staff Lemnitzer. The operation dictated swapping commercial aircraft once airborne for drones and shooting them out of the sky. This action was to be blamed on Cuba in order to justify an invasion, a classic false flag mission. Stage an attack and blame it on your enemy to gain public and, most importantly, congressional support for war. There are many tracks which seemingly go out of their way to converge with the alleged 9/11 targets and then split off. Was a swap occurring at these points? A sort of revised and updated form of Operation Northwoods? Of course, a simple explanation will be offered by government agencies and those who make excuses. But the coincidences cannot be ignored. At 8:52 a.m., fighters are launched from Otis Air Force Base. Needs repeatedly wants the fighters to go direct to the Z point, to New York City, and demand the FAA ATC clear a route.
I don't know where I'm scrambling these guys to. I need a direction, destination.
Okay, I'm going to give you the Z point. It's just north of New York City.
I got this lat long 4115, 7436, or 7346.
Head them in that direction.
Copy that.
Then a report comes in that the hijacked aircraft just struck the World Trade Center.
How's your 77 doing? Can I help you?
Yeah, it's 1st Air Force Sergeant Tibbetts. We just confirmed from down here that was one of the same, the hijack and the plane hitting the building.
1st Air Force confirmation, one in the same American Airlines and into the World Trade Center. Copy? Is that what you said, sir?
That's copy, yes.
Another report is circulated through the system that the last known position was 15 miles east of JFK.
Last position I got from Boston was 15 miles east of JFK.
Instead of the fighters being scrambled directly to New York City, Needs changes their route to hold in W105, a warning area off the southern coast of Long Island, based on the last known position that was never verified. Here they are instructed to hold as a radar track accelerates to more than 150 knots over the max operating speed of a 767, with its target in sight, the World Trade Center South Tower. We analyzed the speeds for the South Tower aircraft thoroughly in our presentation 9/11 World Trade Center Attack. We have found, based on precedent, data, and aerodynamics, that a standard 767 would be impossible to control at such excessive speeds over its max operating. Was this aircraft modified so it could beat Otis fighters to its target, the South Tower of the World Trade Center? If it was, the modifications would have to be instructed by individuals who know our air defense response time. Just like there has never been a steel skyscraper to collapse from fire prior to 9/11, there has never been an aircraft positively identified to exceed its max operating speed by more than 150 knots, its maneuvering speed by 220 knots, pulled G's, was controllable and survived before 9/11 or after. After the second impact, Otis fighters were instructed to set up combat air patrol over New York City. Tankers were called in for fueling operations and remained loitering. Almost 35 minutes after American 11 went silent, also known as Nordo, and changed course, American 77 was lost to Indianapolis Center.
Indianapolis Center was working this guy.
What guy?
American 77.
Okay.
At flight level 350. However, they lost radar with him, they lost contact with him, they lost everything, and they don't have any idea where he is or what happened. So what we've done at the surrounding centers here is to tell everyone to look out for limited codes, primary targets, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
Indianapolis contacted American Airlines 3 times to notify them of another missing aircraft. At 9:08 a.m., Langley was also notified and ordered to battle stations, an order in which pilots are sitting in their cockpits, ready for flight. Yet Langley fighters didn't get airborne till almost 20 minutes later.
Tell Foxy to scramble Langley, send them in the same location. Battle stations or scramble? Battle stations only, Langley.
And were given instruction to head out over the Atlantic instead of directly to protect Washington.
Say again where you want him?
We want him in the Whiskey 386 area.
All right.
Yeah,
No problem.
thanks, brother.
From
As soon as the Pentagon was attacked, Langley fighters turned towards Washington. There are many other bases closer to Washington and New York City that offer defense. Otis and Langley were selected due to the fact many fighters from other bases were out on training exercises. Several training exercises were in effect on the morning of 9/11.
I hope they cancel the exercise because this is ridiculous.
You guys watching the news?
Yeah, they got it on in the battle cab right now. Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I've been watching it for about 10 minutes, and I said, I wonder if they suspend the exercising?
Not at this time, no. I've never seen so much real-world stuff happen during an exercise.
Andrews Air Force Base is within 10 miles of Washington, D.C. The fighters were sent to North Carolina. Atlantic City F-16s are much closer to New York City than Otis Air Force Base F-15s. Atlantic City fighters were training out over the Atlantic. In fact, Otis also had fighters out on training missions. He had 2 fighters on alert. Needs was also in training mode when the attacks occurred. Needs had simulated tracks on their radar screens and didn't remove them till almost 9:30 a.m., well after the second tower impact. According to Captain Jeff Lottis, a former F-15 fighter pilot with 2 tours of duty in Iraq, false inputs on radar screens is unprecedented, except on 9/11. You can hear the confusion when Needs is attempting to locate their tankers. Call sign Team 23.
No, Team 21 and 107. Thank you. This is Team 23.
That's Team 23. Yeah, I just told Jeremy, I want him down in 386 and we let him over. Okay. You know what? Get rid of this goddamn sim. Turn the sim switches off. Just get rid of that crap.
Our defenses just seemed behind the 8 ball every step of the way. Was this all by design? How would the hijackers know to strike on such a chaotic day with the U.S. under minimal defense? It seems the hijackers were extremely lucky all morning on 9/11. That is, if what we've been told by the 9/11 Commission is true. Yet, even the 9/11 Commission admits they haven't been told the truth. The Pentagon, our nation's military headquarters. How could an aircraft get so close to the Pentagon after America has been attacked almost an hour prior? The Pentagon in Washington, D.C. is well defended, according to former Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger.
The city is ringed with Air Force bases and Navy bases, and the ability to get the defensive planes in the air is very, very high, and at the same time you would do what is being done, and that is closing off the entire airspace so that you, in effect, the whole Washington area is a no-fly zone, so that any planes that can't identify themselves that get into that are to be shot down.
Does the Pentagon also have anti-aircraft defense? Certainly the general public would not know of such installations, as our enemies would obtain the same information. If the Pentagon did have such a defense, it would certainly be classified. April Gallup is a survivor of the Pentagon attack. She crawled through the hole in the Pentagon holding her son. April says that she did not see any evidence of an aircraft crash and didn't even know an airplane was reported to have caused the damage till she got to the hospital. April is extremely puzzled by the fact that there were no warnings or defense of the Pentagon attack, especially when everyone in the world knew America was being attacked after the World Trade Center strikes. When discussing airspace surrounding our nation's capital, Often the restricted airspace referred to is the prohibited areas around the Capitol building and the White House. We have to look further out. This is known as Class Bravo airspace. It is a highly controlled airspace in which you need a clearance to enter, including two-way radio communication and a working Mode C transponder that reports your altitude. New York and Washington, D.C. both have Class Bravo airspace surrounding their hub airports. New York covers JFK, Newark, and LaGuardia, while Washington covers Baltimore, Reagan National in the middle, and west to Dulles. American 77 was lost from radar when its transponder was shut off at 8:56 a.m. This is 10 minutes after the first tower strike, and 16 minutes after Washington was notified to keep an eye out for suspicious aircraft. Danielle O'Brien at Washington TRACON observed a fast-moving target penetrating Washington Class Bravo. She wasn't notified of the events in New York, yet Washington Center was advised. Why was this information seemingly intercepted from getting to TRACON controllers in Washington? Had Miss O'Brien and her colleagues been advised of the events in New York, would she have been more alert to have the target penetrating Washington Class Bravo intercepted? Would the word have gone out to the Langley fighters, who were now heading out over the Atlantic? If the unidentified target reached Washington, D.C., certainly Pentagon aircraft defense could have played a role, if April Gallup is correct. Some have argued that the Pentagon would not have such a defense because Reagan National is so close, an aircraft departing and arriving could inadvertently be shot down. Those who make such arguments aren't familiar with how the national airspace system works. Most aircraft arriving into Reagan National are well known of their intentions prior to even departing their origin airport. Those that aren't are well known of their intentions prior to entering Washington Class Bravo, 30 miles from Reagan National. Those who don't communicate and perhaps have their transponders off, that is your target. Aside from the fact we already know it's impossible for an aircraft to have caused the physical damage at the Pentagon based on witnesses filmed on location and data provided by government agencies, an unidentified aircraft should not have been anywhere close to the Pentagon. It appears the interceptors were intercepted. Always one step behind the curve until the objectives were accomplished. The confusion caused throughout the system on 9/11 seems to be the contributing factor of why the perpetrators were so successful in carrying out their missions.
Hey, turn the swim switches off.
When an unidentified target was approaching Washington, D.C. from the west, a message was sent out in the system that American 11 was still airborne.
Scoggins Military, Boston Center, just had a report that American 11 is still in the air and it's on its way heading towards Washington.
Okay, American 11 is still in the air on its way towards Washington?
There was definitely another aircraft that hit the tower. That's the latest report we have.
Okay.
I'm going to try to confirm an ID for you, but I would assume he's somewhere over either New Jersey or somewhere further south.
Okay, so American 11 isn't the hijack at all then, right?
No, he is a hijack.
American 11 is a hijack?
Yes.
And he's going into Washington?
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. airframe.com.